What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here, and today I'm going to be breaking down my Path of Diablo Bone Necro. Now, there is a lot of differences between the Path of Diablo Necro and the Vanilla Necro, which I will try to cover some in this video, but I am by no means an expert as far as Path of Diablo goes, so I have multiple links in the description below if you guys want to check out all of the comparisons exactly, although I will try to cover a lot of them. But like all of my previous build videos, timestamps will be in the description below, so if you guys want to bounce back and forth between the attributes, the skill tree, the gear, or the gameplay, they're there for you guys to use, so please take advantage of them. And a quick reminder that I'm streaming my progression of this Necro live on Twitch. I stream there twice a week. Link is also in the description below, so you guys know what to do. If you want to hang out during my live streams, hit me up with a follow. I'd really appreciate that. Other than that, guys, I really do hope you enjoy this video. Let's jump in. So the first thing to kind of go over is the attribute distribution. Now it's a little bit different than your standard vanilla Necro setup. So as far as strength goes, I have 170 points into strength. Now that might seem a little bit artificially high, and it is because I have a lot of plus strength on my one ring and my one caster amulet, and I do plan on replacing the temporary caster amulet. So I have a little bit extra strength invested because I do plan on replacing that amulet and losing a lot of strength. So I want to make sure I still have that 156 to equipped spirit and a monarch shield. Now, dexterity, I have absolutely nothing. Energy, this might seem totally off. I have 102 points into energy because in Path of Diablo, if you invest 100 points in energy, you get 3 bone spears instead of 1. So obviously that's just a huge increase in damage. So I invested 100 points in energy to get that 3 bone spear attack. And then my remaining points are all put into vitality. So I have 1,275 life. Prior to CTA buff, which I don't actually have a CTA at the moment, but CTA is nerfed in Path of Diablo, so I'm a little bit fragile considering 1,300 life and then 834 to mana. It is what it is though. Do I want to trade having the 3 bone spears versus 1 and having more life? I kind of went the road of being more fragile. And then as far as my res goes, I have 44 into fire, 53 for cold, 75 for lightning, and 43 for poison. So I would like to see these a little bit higher for the endgame mapping, which as I get some better gear, some better charms, we can kind of pump that res up a little bit. But for now, the time being, it's a decently spec'd res for the character. So when we take a look at the skill tree, you're going to notice a lot of differences between the Path of Diablo Necro skill tree and Vanilla D2. And I guess we'll just start off with the Curse skill tree. You'll notice that there's not a single kind of connecting prerequisite skill point in this tree. So you can invest 1 hard point into anything that you want, and you don't have to kind of work your way through the tree like you would in Vanilla Diablo 2. So I have 1 hard point into Curse and 1 hard point into Decrep. This is really just to support myself and my minions. So Decrep reduces, it slows them down, it reduces their damage output, and they take more damage, whereas Curse is kind of just either they attack each other or random targets. And if I just spam either of these curses, it just gives my Mercenary and Golem a little bit of support, and then allows me to more effectively shoot my bone spears. They don't have to take as much damage. So they're really just there for support, even though they don't actually increase my magic damage at all. And jumping into the Poison and Bone skill tree, again, you'll see some skills are not like they would be in the vanilla tree or the rework. So this is like Desecrate, that's an example of one, creating rotting corpses, Poison Nova, but I don't really have anything invested in those because this is a Bone Necro. Huge skill to point out here is that Corpse Explosion is significantly nerfed, 22 to 28% of corpse life versus the 75 of Vanilla D2. So that's why you will not see me using Corpse Explosion, unlike how you would in a regular Diablo 2 Bone Necro. But I have completely maxed out Teeth, Bone Spirit, and Summon. That's because they all synergize each other. And then I have 1 hard point into Bone Armor, 1 into Corpse Explosion, and 1 into Bone Wall. That's just to unlock Bone Spirit. Now I could go the route of investing more points to kind of have a more buffed up Bone Armor, but I didn't because I want more points into Convocation, which is the teleporting skill for the Necro. So jumping into the Summoning skill tree, Convocation here, I have completely maxed out 20 hard points plus my plus skills. That is because the more skills that I invest into this, the lower the duration is for my teleport cooldown time. So I think your very first hard point, you have a 10-second cooldown delay. Putting 28 points brings it down to 2.1. So if I get some more plus skills, I can get that even lower, hopefully below 1 second. So it's kind of close to teleporting. And then my remaining points, I have 1 into Summon Mastery, 1 into Clay Golem. Now, Clay Golem is again significantly nerfed. It only slows down starting at, I think, 5, and then it goes up 1% slowdown per level, so it's not like the crazy 75 of your standard vanilla D2 Clay Golem. And then I have 1 into Iron Golem in case I ever want to Iron Golem anything like an Insight. 1 into Fire Golem because you actually can cast more than 1 if you're using the Bone Runeword, which I am, but diving more into the gear. I just put 1 hard point to unlock it, although I haven't really been using it, so I probably will respec at some point. But then I have been putting all of my remaining points into Blood Golem, and that is because Blood Golem has an insane life stolen per hit radius, and then also if he takes damage, either a ranged hit or a melee hit, as long as I'm within his kind of aura, I actually gain health back from it. So it's a nice way of kind of my Blood Golem giving me life, helping me out, and then he also steals tons of life. You can see he gets 86% life stolen per hit, so he almost never dies. But yeah, that's a complete wrap up of the skill tree, so now we'll dive into my gear. So the very first thing that you guys will probably notice if you're not familiar with Path of Diablo is the crazy looking inventory. So just to quickly go over it, the bottom here is my charm inventory and the top is just my regular inventory. Now you cannot stack charms outside of it, so just an example here, I have a summoning skiller which has 42 level requirement. If I move it outside of the skiller inventory, it has a 142 level requirement, so you can only get 99 in Path of Diablo. So the idea is just the bottom is for charms, and then the top is where you can carry pots or stuff you need for crafting, etc. But starting off with kind of, we'll go the gear and the inventory after. I have white in a 3 to Bone Spear base, so this gives me a total of +8 to Bone Spear, so this is a huge kind of damage increase for a Dole and Isle Rune. It's a very, very powerful weapon. It's top tier for Bone Necro. And then for the helmet, I have a Corrupted Shaco. Now this is a CNC Shaco. If you don't know about corruption, again, check the Path of Diablo Wiki website, they'll explain it to you. But basically, it's just a Shaco that can't ever have a socket or can't ever change. But yeah, so Shaco, and then for the body armor, I have Bone. This is reworked a little bit from the standard Bone in Vanilla D2. So Soul, and gives me 2 Necromancer skills, 100 in, I believe it's 100 to 150 mana, 30 all res, and then it allows me to summon an additional Fire Golem. I'm not actually using Fire Golem, but if I want to, I can summon 2 of them at the same time. So just to show you guys, they're kind of cool. It gives me, or grants me the ability to use 2 of them, even though I basically just always use Blood Golem. And then I have Trang's gloves for the 2 to curses and 20 FCR and cold res. And then I pair that with Spirit. This is a 34 FCR Spirit and a Monarch Shield. And then I have Fire Res, Poison Res boots with Trang's gloves. Now this might seem weird using Trang's belt, but cannot be frozen for me currently is important because I have a 2-second cooldown time on my teleport. So if I'm getting frozen, I'm spending a lot of time running around still. So Trang's is a nice way to get cannot be frozen, and is a nice buff as well to life and mana. So that's the reason why I have the 2. And it does grant me the 2-piece set, grants me Fireball, even though it's useless, but I get a little bit of mana recovery. And then I have 2 rings here. This is just a 16 to Strength, Lightning, and Poison Res ring with a Lightning, Fire, res ring as well. And then I have a temporary caster amulet that's 1 to sorcerer skills, 9 FCR, 14 to strength with 17 all res. So ideally I'd like to switch this out for a 2 to poison and bone skiller with like 10 FCR or something like that. And then on the offhand, because I still don't have a CTA and CTA is heavily nerfed, I have a 3 to Blood Golem magic wand with Spirit. So this gives me +5 to Blood Golem, which is the main golem that I'm using all the time, so it's just a nice way to get those additional skills on the offhand. And then as far as the inventory goes, I have a couple skillers here. So I have a 1 to summoning skills, 3 to dexterity. Now, summoning skills are not useless because they're a higher Blood Golem, and they also give me a higher convocation, which allows me to teleport a little bit quicker. So that's the reason why I'm using summoning skillers. I got summoning skiller with 3 to dexterity, a poison and bone with 10 to life, poison and bone with 22 to life. 2 of these were traded for, and then I have a plain poison and bone skiller, and a poison and bone skiller with 33 to life. I did drop this live on stream myself. And then another summoning skiller, and then everything else here is just an assorted MF or plus life or life res, small charm or grand charm. So 35 to life, 11 lightning res, same thing, life, fire, etc. And that's really just to try and get my res a little bit higher because I don't have a torture and Annie. And then for the Mercenary's gear, I'm using an Act 5 Mercenary, which might seem weird, but an Act 5 Mercenary has the Might Aura. So I kind of decided to support myself, the Might Aura, so my Blood Golem will do more damage, my Merc does more damage. Although I could maybe play around with an Act 3 Mercenary in the future because they give a Meditation Aura. Although I have 860 mana, so I don't know how important a Meditation Aura really is for me. But my Merc is using an Indario's Visage that's corrupted, so similar to the Shaco, nothing can happen with it. But Indario's for the IS, the 2 skills, and then the Lifesteal per hit, Treachery, and then I have Oath and an Ethereal Cryptic Sword. So he does some pretty decent damage, and when his Fade proc goes off, he has completely capped res. But it's kind of cool using a viable Act 5 Mercenary. But that is all of the gear in its entirety. So now I'll show you guys kind of an example of doing some standard MF routes that I've been doing with the Bone Necro, and you can kind of see the differences of the gameplay of the Pod Necro in action. So I'm not really at the point where I can do endgame tier mapping, so I figured I'd just show you guys an example Neolithek run and an Eldritch and Shank run, because that's currently what I'm doing, kind of my rotation, trying to gather some keys to do some torch farming with some other Path of Diablo players online. But yeah, so I'll just kind of show you guys the gameplay. Now, like I mentioned with the gear, offhand is where I cast my Blood Golem, because the +3 magic wand and spirit gives me +5. And then just cast Bone Armor. Now I like to use Decrep, like I talked about when I go over the skill tree, just as sort of a way to support my Mercenary. Convocation to reposition, cast and Decrepify, and then shoot the 3 Bone Spears. The loot filter is kind of interesting. One of the cool things about the Bone Spears, depending on where I position the mouse, it kind of influences the bones. So if I shoot really close to me, they spread out, and if I shoot really far, they stay kind of like mixed together. So it's kind of neat. I'm showing you guys the Convocation. There's always that little bit of a delay. So it's really almost just like a repositioning skill at this point. Should maybe find a little bit safer place. It's just repositioning. Then using the Decrep, like I said, it doesn't boost the Bone Spear damage at all, but it does help. It slows down monsters so they're throwing less range stuff at me. My Mercenary and Golem can do more damage, so it's really just a support curse. I feel like it works better personally than using... I think it works better personally than using the Confuse Curse, but that's just me. So that's Eldritch and Shank. That's kind of like the easier style run. So now we'll do Neolithek run. Now for those that don't know, there's only 3 set kind of maps, so depending on where the waypoint is, I can already kind of tell where I have to go. It's kind of down and to the left on this one. Right here. And then we just match up the painting tiles. So no matching up there. Match up here, so here's the 2 eyes, so I know Neolithek is this direction. So it's really just casting curses and shooting Bone Spears, nothing special. We're not using Corpse Explosion. Now I have been told that with enough plus skills, you can really get that Convocation teleport time reduced. So you're like kind of like 0.4 seconds, I think is the maximum you can reach. So that's kind of nice. Ooh, Orb of Corruption. That is for corrupting items, which, speaking of which, I did actually switch my gear slightly from, this is the second day, I recorded the other stuff previously. I'll show you guys, I did slightly tweak my gear. It is corrupted, yeah, I'm actually using a corrupted Viper Magi, that's how you get 4 open sockets. I have done previous corrupting videos. If you guys don't know what corrupting is, you can check out the Path of Diablo website. And then I did try using Homunculus. There's not much of a difference between using Homunculus or Spirit in the main hand, because I still get that 75 FCR breakpoint. So that wraps up my Path of Diablo Bone Necro. Again, I'm only about 2 weeks in a lot of resets, so there's definitely more gear to progress. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, refer to the Path of Diablo Wikipedia, as well as their website and Discord if you guys want kind of more information on all of the changes across all the different characters, because there's too much for me to cover in this single video. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and if you could throw a like on it, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my channel. I post new weekly content on YouTube, and I stream twice a week on Twitch. So a follow on Twitch and a sub on YouTube would be amazing. Other than that, guys, hope you have a fan-frickin-tastic day, and I'll catch you on my next video or live stream. Peace out.